Good afternoon. This is the second part of what I've been doing with some encyclopedias. Now, I did have a look online, so before I did decide to take the books apart, I did see whether or not they were worth potentially anything in the condition they're in. But sadly, there are so many listed online that the only thing that I could really do with them is reduce, reuse, and recycle and upcycle. And yes, it may seem a little bit futile because this is the thickness of the books, and this is how much of the book is left. But I think to make a bookend, there is plenty of the book left in here to achieve this. And a lot of what I've left in there is basically superfluous information that even myself, I couldn't see me realistically reading. It's been really interesting to glean through this book, though, as I have been taking it apart. Some of the pages will literally just fall out, and that's because of where I've removed the pages from the other side, and that just happens basically because of how the book is originally bound. So it's a hardback book, and as you can see, it's been bound with a cord. And there is an art to bookbinding. It isn't something I myself have learnt to do, but there is definitely an art to it. And so what I will now do with this book is I will make it into a bookend, and then look at either using it myself or reselling it. Just making sure that no more of the pages are likely to fall out, which it doesn't appear that they will. So I will attempt to make a bookend out of this book. But for example, some of the plates that were in the book, if I can just find one quickly that I haven't put away. Some of them are in colour, and some of them are in black and white. So, for example, this one is a picture of Atlas. So I have found that it isn't just being UK-based information in these encyclopedias. It has literally been worldwide, but primarily European. So this is obviously a picture of a sculpture of Atlas, where you get the Atlas Mountains from. And he was supposed to have been responsible for carrying the world on his shoulders. And then we go into a map of the British Isles. So again, things like the history of maps and map making and the making of globes, people are into those sorts of things. Yes, a lot of the information can be found online. But one of the things I love about one of the globes that I have upstairs is that Tibet is still recognised on that globe as its own country and is not classed as part of China. You also have Inner and Outer Mongolia, which again have been taken over by China and Russia. I believe there may even be Persia on one of my globes, which again, sorry, I'm just trying to put everything back into the bag, is not going to be found on a local map. So unless you were to Google the history of maps online and take what the information they put as face value, just like people would have with books, nobody had ever been, very few people had probably travelled within Europe unless they had the money to do so. Those that were able to purchase books probably did have the money to do so. But again, how many people would have had the opportunity to stand in the Sistine Chapel? So until the internet and photography became readily available to the general public, which everybody has nowadays, most people have an iPhone, most people can take photographs when they like, they would have been dependent upon information that would have been printed in books such as encyclopedias and not been readily available just by pressing a few buttons. So in a way, we have kind of taken our history for granted. And it is a shame that, like I said, if I hadn't have rescued these books, they would have just ended up in a landfill. So something like this, if anyone liked it, would be nice framed, and I would probably just sell that for £1. Realistically, I do not think I would get any more for that. Maybe I'm undervaluing it. I don't know. It'd be great if someone could comment. But even if I was to sell it for £2, so £1 for the frame and £1 for the print, I'd be happy. Because then at least I know that this piece of artwork, even though it is a plate, even though it is a print out of a child encyclopedia, it hasn't ended up in landfill and has been given a new lease of life. So I would appreciate your feedback on this.